Hi everybody, it's Chris, one of the co-founders of the Geeks of the IWV, along with my beautiful wife Sarah. And for this, we are bringing you the very first video for IWV. The Geeks of the IWV presents Geeks on Geek. Unfortunately, my co-leader Kim couldn't be here because she has business out of town. But for this first video, we are going to do a video review of Spider-Man Homecoming. So let's start out with the basics. There's going to be lots of these. I love you guys, but let's face it, it's a review, so there's going to be lots of spoiler alerts, okay? So let's start off with the first thing. Yes, it is a Marvel movie. No, it's not Disney. The deal was that in order for Disney to put Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel Studios would have to make Sony a Spider-Man movie. So that's what this is. The beginning says Sony right off. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take you quickly through the movie. The movie starts out before credits during the battle, the after effects of the battle of what happened in Avengers 1. The main antagonist, Michael Keaton, who most people know as Batman, plays Adrian Toomes, who in comic book lore is also known as the Vulture. That will play into this in a moment. Then it proceeds to continue on to, let's say about 8 years later, to Peter Parker.
You gotta say, they have to see Civil War first before they can see Spider-Man. This one, because they'll be confused at the beginning scene.
Right. Yes. See Civil War. If you haven't seen it, it's an excellent movie. Because as they go on to another cutscene, Peter Parker, who is Spider-Man, it shows him mobile footage getting prepared to go make his grand entrance into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and shows the battle of the airport from his point of view. That being said, the movie itself starts out 2 months later. Peter's wanting to get into more action. He's trying to bug Tony Stark about it. But unfortunately, he has to deal with Happy Hogan, who's played by Jon Favreau, who was the director of the first 2 Iron Mans. Great actor. I totally hate Happy Hogan. I think he's a painful character to watch, but hey, whatever. Quickly go through it. Because of the beginning with Adrian Toomes cleaning up the wreckage because he's a salvager. They kind of get kicked out of it by a government contract with Damage Control. And Damage Control is the governmental unit that was started up by the government and Tony Stark to clean up after their messes. Damage Control was also a comic book series in the 80s about cleaning up after the battles. So to move on, this story is about Peter Parker's life as a student, which they did right. They took him back to sophomore year. He's a kid. Unlike other Spider-Man movies before, they kind of rushed him out so he could be an adult and the college life. My personal opinion, Tom Holland is probably the most accurate Peter Parker / Spider-Man translation to what the comic books is. Aunt May is played by Marissa Tomei, which they play off of her hotness very much in this movie. And while comic books, she's older. Reading through comicbookmovie.com, they did say the reason they took this Spider-Man and did everything different was so it could be distinctive of what has come out before. It goes on, Spider-Man busts bad guys who's using Jatari technology to make weapons. basically that's how he ends up going and running into Adrian Toomes as the Vulture. Personally, I think this was one of those times they actually got a villain right. He played a menacing villain, and spoiler alert, they don't kill him off. Finally, Marvel in the movies does not kill off a bad guy. How many of them have we seen? Oh, Ultron could have been a cooler bad guy had he have survived, or Red Skull, or, you know. And besides Loki, Loki's always the trickster god, but he's not in this movie. But it's a good movie. It talks about Peter both battling with his responsibilities of school while trying to impress Tony Stark so he can become an Avenger. His love interest is a Liz Allen, the girl who plays her's pretty. There's other spoilers. That's actually a spoiler I'm going to leave to people, because the guy who tries to stay educated and know everything, there's a twist in there about her that I didn't even see coming. Like I said, the cast is diverse. You have different ethnic groups just mashed together. I know that has been something a lot of the people who watch movies say we don't have enough of. I personally think they did a good job. What do you think?
The only thing I didn't care for it was Aunt May. I don't think Aunt May needs to look sexy and young. She's old grandma type Aunt May, and she even played kind of grandma-ish Aunt May in this, and it didn't fit the look.
I understood.
There's also a character, Disney's Zendaya was in it, and she was just made just for this movie. She's no significant character from the comics, if anyone's wondering.
Because she plays a character named Michelle, which at the end of the movie goes by the initials MJ, which some people think that she is to be Mary Jane Watson, who goes by MJ in the Spider-Man universe. And if you read the comic books, she ends up Peter's wife. But in this, she's not Mary Jane. She's their own entity. And the reason they went the route they did is for the chance to tell a different story and the different possibilities that would go in it. Now, another thing that this movie does right, that not all superhero movies does right, is it has plenty of cameos, plenty of Easter eggs. There's 4 separate villains that are known in Spider-Man canon in this movie that they don't just throw it in your face, and it doesn't really distract from the story. Unlike Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, when Gwen Stacy ended up dying, and then they shoved everything and said, oh, we have this big Spider-Man universe, and it's in your face. This, they actually do it very well and controlled, because, again, spoiler alert, allow me to list the bad guys. Alright, we already know Michael Keaton plays Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. 2 different characters kind of take on the moniker of the Shocker. There is one character, while they don't ever say who he is known as the Tinkerer in the comic books, and there is a special cameo by Matt Gargan, who is also known as the Scorpion, which in the cutscene at the end, they show him talking to Toomes. Again, spoiler alert, because Toomes gets thrown in jail, and it's blasted right on his neck with a tattoo of a scorpion. Now with that, it is, again, I'm going to reiterate that this is a Sony movie, so when they come to the sweet scenes, as I call them at the end scene of all the credits, I personally think it's one of the best, but not for the reasons most people would. And personally, I think it's the way of saying that this is Sony's movie and not Disney's. I highly recommend this movie. It's entertaining, comic book accurate. The only thing is Spider-Man's costume, made by Tony Stark, is a little bit too much of the Iron Man type of thing. But it's cool. I mean, there comes a lot of humor out of him learning his costume and the way he gets kind of treated like a child because of said costume. You have any more things you would like to say?
I do say the British actors play the part better than an American actor. I don't know why that is, but I just think that Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield played it way better than Tobey Maguire.
Okay, well, and that is a debate for another time. I think that's going to wrap up our review. I give it a solid 4 out of 5. I think so far it's one of the best. I'm going to compare it to, it's probably on par with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, which is one of the best comic book movies ever made of all times. Which we may go ahead and do a throwback review of those kinds of movies later. Thank you for joining us for our first Geeks on Geeks. We're going to have plenty more content coming out to you as we work out the look and the feel of everything. Thank you again. I'm Chris, co-founder of the Geeks of the IWV. This is my wife, Sarah, who's very much a solid Geek member. And behind the camera is the little one, Lily. And next to her is little Chris, who's very passionate. He got kind of nervous. He wanted to review this, but I don't think he was quite ready for it. So until next time, I'm Chris. This is Sarah. We'll make sure that Kim gets here for one. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.